Namaste and welcome back. In the last video, we have seen the networking concepts that are required for the blockchain. In the networking, we have seen the centralized networks, decentralized networks, distributed networks, and peer-to-peer networks. The concept of the blockchain in the decentralized network domain has been realized in the first application of the blockchain, that is Bitcoin, which was developed by the Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008 and officially in use from 2009. In this, especially the basic idea of any blockchain network is to avoid the central authority, and by giving the responsibility of sharing the security and privacy of the data or any kind of transaction that is happening in the network to the individual computers. This is what is called a peer-to-peer networking. So in this, the individual computers will share the responsibility of maintaining the trust and security in the network. So in this way, the blockchain technology will maintain the network in such a way that it will not allow the central authority or central servers to give the command to the normal computers. So in this, each and every computer will act as its will act in its entirety, and whenever they require, they may join the network. Whenever they don't want, they can leave the network. But whenever any computer joins the network, then the entire blockchain content will be automatically updated in that particular computer. So this will be done in a peer-to-peer fashion, or for that we have seen an example of BitTorrent. We don't know from which corner the data is coming and from which corner from who is the one who sending the data. But finally, the entire blockchain data will be assembled on your computer by receiving from various corners. So this is the way how the BitTorrent protocol will work. In the same way, in the blockchain, data assembling will also work in the same way. And also at the same time, the decisions that has to be taken in the blockchain will be done in a distributed way and by executing some distributed consensus algorithms. So this is what things we have seen in the previous lectures. By summary, in the previous lectures, we come to know that the blockchain is one that is developed for avoiding the central authority and giving the control to the individual nodes, and they themselves are one who are going to participate in the network, and any kind of transaction will be approved among themselves, and the data or transactions will be committed among themselves, and whatever the thing was happened in the network, everything will be every computer or every node in the network will be having a copy of the particular data. So this is what the networking concept what we have discussed in the previous lectures. In this lecture, we will start with the cryptography concept because in the previous networking, we have seen that to maintain the trust and security, this kind of words. But okay, trust is okay because the peer-to-peer algorithms will work and a distributed consensus algorithms will work. Then they may get the trust and all. But how this particular security can be maintained and privacy can be maintained, these two things can be maintained only with the help of the art of secrets, which is called cryptography. So in this cryptography, there are four things that are majorly used in this blockchain technology, which are encryption, decryption, hashing, and digital signature. Now, in this particular video, I'm going to discuss only the first two concepts, which is called encryption and decryption, how this particular encryption and decryption will be maintained or will be applicable in the blockchain, and what are the different algorithms they use in order to maintain this encryption and decryption. In the coming videos, I will go over the hashing and digital signature concept. So let us start. So the fundamental question to be answered is how, without presence of the central authority, how a network can achieve the trust and privacy, security and privacy of the data. That was beautifully developed in the blockchain with the help of cryptography. They have used the best possible methods that are used in the cryptography and made the data very secure uh, and user data very secure and provided the privacy to the user data. So in order to move forward, first we'll see the basic properties of cryptography, because all these properties must be satisfied in order to maintain the security and privacy. So privacy is nothing but confidentiality. So confidentiality, the first property is the confidentiality. Confidentiality means message cannot be read by the intermediaries. For example, if a sender A wants to send a message to a receiver B. So whenever he is sending the message, anyone who are in the communication channel can intercept the message, can read the message, and can understand what is the message is sent by the A. So this type of thing should not be done. So only message cannot be read by the intermediaries. Means message should be in a non-understandable form, so that no one can read that message. So how to convert that particular message, a normal message which can be in a readable form, into a non-readable form, is the technique that is going to be used. That is the property that is to be used is called confidentiality. Actually, this property can be achieved with the help of encryption. Next property is integrity. Integrity in the sense the message cannot be changed once the sender has sent the message to the receiver. That means intermediaries may read the message or intercept the message. They may do possible changes so that how the receiver will come to know that particular original message has been modified. So this is maintained. This particular thing can be identified with the help of integrity of the message. This integrity of the message will be observed with the help of a cryptography method called hashing. Next, next property is authentication. Authentication means only valid recipient should be able to read the message. That means confidentiality means no one should be in a position to read the message in the middle of the transit, or in the middle of while transiting the message on the communication channel. Where in case of authentication means only the intended user or intended recipient. Say for example, A has sent to only B, okay, with the intention that it has to be read only by B. Only B should be in a position to read that. So this is what is called authentication. Next one is non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means sender cannot deny sending of the message. Say for example, sender A has sent a message, then in later time he cannot deny that I have not sent this particular message. So this is what is called non-repudiation. These four properties has to be maintained in any what you call secure environment. So in order to do that, cryptography algorithms will help us in maintaining these four properties, because these four properties are essential to maintain security and privacy of data in any kind of networks. These are the general terms that are used in cryptography. First one is the plain text or clear text. Plain text means a text which is in a human readable form. Where in case of cipher text means which is converted into non-readable form, which is called the encryption property. Once it is encrypted, once a plain text is encrypted, then the resultant text is set to the cipher text. This cipher text cannot be read by the intermediaries or maybe by anyone. Only the intended reader should be in a position to read the message. So next one is algorithms. Algorithms means the techniques that are used to convert the plain text to cipher text or cipher text to the plain text, or verification of the authentication. So these kind of things are said to be algorithms. Next one is keys. So in order to convert the plain text to the cipher text, they use a mechanism called key. Key is a kind of integer values or maybe any kind of values that are given to the users. So with these keys, the plain text to the cipher text and cipher to the plain text, vice versa, can be done. So this is what we call keys concept. Next is message digest. This message digest is especially the output of any hash function. This basically that we have seen previously that a hash function is especially used for maintaining the integrity of the data. So this message digest has a lot of theory behind it. That means with this message digest we cannot get the original data when we run on any hash function, or we can say that a message digest is the output of a hash function. So usually the hash functions will take the input, the text as the input, and will generate some hash code. That particular hash code is said to be the message digest. Next one is signature. Signature means this is the technique which is used for maintaining the non-repudiation property, in which a sender cannot deny the sending of the message. It is just like how we'll sign the document when you agree the terms and conditions. So that later, if the terms and conditions are not met by you, then you cannot say that, that means you cannot deny that I have not signed anything, because your signature is there on that. That is a physical signature, but in cryptography, we use a digital signature concept. Especially this digital signature concept is used for maintaining the non-repudiation. That we'll see after this particular, uh, that means in the later classes. So these are the basic terms that are used in the cryptography. Next, in order to maintain this confidentiality in authentication, uh, basically there are two popular cryptography techniques. One is symmetric key cryptography, another is asymmetric key cryptography. First, we'll see the symmetric key cryptography. Symmetric, the name is telling you that similar. Similar means in what? Similar means similar in terms of key. That means converting the plain text to the ciphertext. In order to convert the plain text to ciphertext, we use a mechanism called key. So this key is used especially in order to convert the plain text to the ciphertext. The same key what you have used for the encryption will also be used for converting the ciphertext to the plain text at the receiver end. Okay, that means if the for the encryption and for the decryption, if you use the same key, then such kind of cryptography is said to be symmetric cryptography or symmetric key cryptography. So, who are the in this particular symmetric key cryptography algorithms? Any node which is participating in the network will be given a key. That key is the same for all the nodes that are participating in the network. Anyone can encrypt using that key and can decrypt using that key. So that is the reason the key should be kept secret. If the key is revealed out, then anyone can use that key and can perform the both encryption and decryption. So that is the reason what will happen is, even though it preserves the confidentiality, that means once it is converted into the ciphertext, that is plain text to the ciphertext, this text cannot be read in this cannot be in a human readable format. So thereby it can achieve the confidentiality. Since a simple single key is used on at the encryption side and decryption side, so the algorithms are very fast and can do this. That is task of converting from ciphertext to plain text, and vice versa. Where in case of since every receiver or every node consisting of the same key, so obviously they can prove the authenticity that okay, I'm having a valid key, I will be in a position to decrypt the message, or I can also go for encrypting of the message. These are the advantages. So here confidentiality is reached and authenticity is also reached. But the main drawback is you cannot say that whether this message is exactly came from the so and so person. That means, for example, person A has sent the message to the person B. So later you cannot originally say that A is the only one has sent this particular message. So this is what is called non-repudiation property. The reason is since every node in the network consisting of is holding the same key, how can you say that this particular message has came only from person A? Some person D or person E may also use the same key, but he may send that from in the column of from instead of E, they may write A and may send you message. So whenever you decrypt it, you will feel that okay, this is sent from A, but later A may deny that I have not sent the message. So that is the reason this kind of non-repudiation property cannot be achieved with the help of symmetric key. And another thing is key management is a major problem. If you use the same key for long time, then the interceptors are intermediaries who are sitting on the communication channel and who listens to the messages that are passing by may understand the pattern of the message or pattern of the ciphertext which is going on the communication channel and can draw a conclusion that okay, this person might have done or might have used this type of key, and they may use trial and error basis or some brute force attacks kind of thing, and they may come to know that okay, this particular person or might have used this type of pattern in the key, and let they try in the what you call in the trial and error basis. Sometimes they may succeed in the first second attempt, or they may do some several attempts and they may get succeeded. So that is reason similar key is used by, since the same key is used by all nodes. So the key management things such as so usually in the key management issues, few things will come. First one is key generation. The best way of generating the keys to be maintained, to be addressed. Next one is the key distribution. After generating the keys should be distributed to the networking node, that is nodes in the network. Next one is key refreshment. Means periodically the keys should be refreshed. Means the same key should not be used for a long time. Okay. Next is rekeying. If any node has withdrawn from the network, and later again if it joins, then some new key should be allotted to that node. So this is called rekeying. So this kind of thing should be maintained as part of key management. But whenever you use a single secret key for all nodes in the network, this key management is not possible. Once the key management is not possible, there is a lot of chance that there exists a lot of chance that the entire network may be compromised. Compromised means maybe hacked or attacked. So that is reason, even though the symmetric key cryptography algorithms preserves the confidentiality and provides the authenticity, but the major two properties such as integration, uh, integrity maintenance, and non-repudiation. Anyhow, integrity maintenance is not part of the um, encryption and decryption. Right? That is a different part. But the most important thing is non-repudiation property cannot be achieved. And at the same time, key management cannot be maintained properly in the case of symmetric key cryptography. That is the reason we are going for a new concept called asymmetric key cryptography algorithms. So asymmetric key algorithms are mostly used in all blockchain applications. Please make note of this. So asymmetric key algorithms are especially used for maintaining the confidentiality, authenticity, and non-repudiation, and to achieve the best key management practices. So the reason this asymmetric key algorithm or asymmetric key cryptography is used in the blockchain applications. It may be cryptocurrencies, or it may be decentralized applications, or it may be normal blockchain applications, maybe any kind of application which are related to the blockchain in which we use asymmetric key cryptography algorithms. So here I have listed the symmetric key algorithms. I'm not going in detail of all these algorithms. Just I'm naming those algorithms here. For interested people can go to each and everything in detail. But anyhow, for blockchain, symmetric key algorithms are no way useful. So just for your information, I have listed the various symmetric key algorithms here, in which the AES is a very important symmetric algorithm. Till today, this AES 128, 256, and 192-bit key algorithms have been popularly used in many of the applications. Let we'll move on to the asymmetric algorithms. Asymmetric key or public key cryptography algorithm. So asymmetric key algorithm, asymmetric key cryptography or public key cryptography are one and the same. As like unlike symmetric key algorithms, in asymmetric key, we use two keys instead of a single key by all nodes. Means same key by all nodes in the network. We use two different keys in this. Basically, this public key cryptography is cryptography algorithms, especially for three things to address three things. One is public key distribution schemes. Majorly, these algorithms are classified into three categories: public key distribution schemes, public key encryption schemes, and signature schemes. These are the three categories in which these public key algorithms can be divided. Anyhow, we don't want this public key distribution and other things. So we require only the encryption part and the signature part. Anyhow, distribution in the sense here the public key and this keys will be generated and how this key will be distributed among all the nodes, which is called a key management issue that we have seen previously, where the symmetric key cryptography is lacking. So that is addressed in the public key cryptography. That means here how key generation will be done, how this key will be distributed, then how the key refreshment will happen, and how rekeying will happen. All these things are part of public key distribution schemes. Next one is public key encryption schemes and signature schemes. These two are very, very important to understand by the students. So here, first one, to understand this public key cryptography algorithm, step by step we will use here. Every user is supplied with a key pair. That means in the symmetric key, every user will be given with the same key. Say for example, key is an integer value. Assume that a key is some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So whatever the node which will join in the network, okay, will be given the same key. Okay, but this key will be kept at secret in case of symmetric key algorithms. But in case of asymmetric key or public key cryptography, every user is supplied with a key pair, public key, and a secret key. So this secret key is in this particular key pair, and this public key PK can be given. You can give this particular public key to anyone, whereas secret key must be kept secret. Secret key should not be given to anyone. So, for example, you are the person want to join the public key network or public key cryptography network or a network where public key cryptography is implemented. Then when you join, okay, you will be given a key pair. That means two keys will be given to you. One is public key, another is secret key. So this public key you can give to anyone. Okay, that means this is my public key. You can tell to anyone, but secret key should not be tell to anyone. That means secret key must be kept at secret. This is what. And here key pair is unique to each user. That means this public and secret key pair is unique to each user. That means, for example, if I have joined the network, then I may be given with a key pair, public key and secret key. My public key, secret key will not match with your public key and secret key. That means your key is unique and my key is also unique. This is the way how the public key algorithms will work. So key pair is unique to each user. And the beauty of this public key algorithm is both keys, both public key and secret key, both keys are used for encryption and decryption. That means you can encrypt the data. That means you can convert from the plain text to the ciphertext. At the same time, from ciphertext to the plain text. You can do anything with these two keys. Both keys are used for this encryption and decryption. So that means only one key should be used for the encryption, another key cannot be used for decryption. No, not like that. Both keys can be used for encryption and decryption. So whenever it come into the picture, then two methods will be coming into the picture. That is, first one is encryption, which is called public key encryption scheme. Second one is signature, which is called signature scheme. Here, why I'm saying encryption is a many to one means anyone who knows your public key can encrypt the data using the public key, so that only one, means the one who are holding the secret key of the corresponding public key is in a position to decrypt the data. So you have a key pair, public key and secret key, and you have published this public key out. You say that you might have announced that this is my public key. So since you have announced it, I will come to know that you are public key. What I will do is I will encrypt that. I will encrypt a message to which I want to send to you with the help of the public key that you have published, so that the plain text is converted into the ciphertext. Now this ciphertext will be sent over the communication channel. Since it is ciphertext, intermediaries cannot understand what is the original message. Thereby, confidentiality is achieved. Now, whenever you receive that message, what you do is you will use your secret key and decrypt that message. That means whatever the message you have received in the cipher form or ciphertext, okay, you will add your key to it, okay, and that means you will use your key and will decrypt that. That means will convert it into the plain text. So that means this public key, that is the what is the public key you have published. With the public key, I have encrypted. Means only who has to who should be in a position to decrypt it. That means only you. That means only the intended receiver or intended recipient should be in a position to decrypt the message. So intended recipient means, recall the properties of the cryptography. Yes, authentication. So along with the confidentiality, that is encrypted message, confidentiality is achieved. With the help of the secret key that you are holding, authenticity is also achieved. So that means that is the reason I called it as encryption as many to one. Means many means anyone who are having your public key in a position to encrypt the message and can send to you. But one, who is that one? You are the only one who are holding the secret key is in a position to decrypt the message. This is called many to one, which is called public key encryption scheme. Second one is signature scheme. Signature scheme means one to many. That means you are the only person in a position to encrypt the message, but anyone can verify that this message is sent by you. How is it possible? Look at here. Signature scheme in which encryption will be done using your secret key. The reason is both keys are used for encryption and decryption. So in the first case, the one who knows your public key are any encrypting using your public key, but only the intended receiver, that is yourself, is going to decrypt using your secret key. Since there is a principle that the key pairs will be generated in such a way that both keys are used for encryption and decryption. So now what I am doing is I am doing in reverse. I am using secret key for encryption, and after doing this, the ciphertext will be sent out. Anyone who are knowing your public key can use the public key and decrypt that message, so that if the message is decrypted, then they can say that this particular message has sent by you. So that means later you cannot deny that. Later you cannot deny that I have not sent the message. The reason is you are the only person. You are the only person holding the secret key. because you are the only person holding the secret key, and with this secret key the message is encrypted and the message was sent out. Anyone who are having your public key can decrypt it and verify that okay, this is the person. That means this particular message has been decrypted using the public key of so and so person, so that that person cannot deny in future that I have not sent a message. In this way, this public key encryption, public key algorithms has achieved the non-repudiation property which is missing in the symmetric key algorithms. Non-repudiation is a property that a sender cannot deny a message, or sender cannot deny that he has not sent any message. So this is also called signature scheme. That means, as we have seen previously, whenever you are entering into terms and conditions, you will sign on the terms and conditions. Later, if you go against the terms and conditions, if any action has been taken, then you cannot deny that okay, I have not signed the terms and conditions because your physical signature is there. In the same way, here also your signature is your secret key. Since you are holding the secret key, with that secret key you have encrypted the message and sent out. Anyone who are having your public key can decrypt it and verify it. So here, how this particular encryption and decryption will be done? Basically, whatever the key that is given to you, that will be XORed. There is exclusive OR operation will be there. That will be XORed with the message, original message, so that the XOR operation with the key is a bidirectional operation. If the key and XOR and the message will give you some ciphertext that is non-understandable form. So you can write a small C program. You take a key value, some whatever the key value of your choice, and you take a string or an array, and there is character array, and type whatever the message you want. You read the character array by using a for loop and perform exclusively OR operation. In C programming, exclusively OR operation means cap symbol, and hold the particular characters in an temporary array. Later, once the for loop is over, print the particular array. So whatever the characters you will get are the junk characters. The original message will not be displayed. And but with that particular temporary that is ciphertext that whatever you got, you do the same operation in reverse using the same key, then you will get the original message. So this is the way how the encryption and decryption will be done using the keys. So the advantage of public key cryptography is public key cryptography will help you in maintaining the key management issues such as public key distribution like key generation, key distribution, key refreshment and rekeying, and it will also helpful for maintaining the encryption and decryption. Such as encryption means many to one, and another property is signature schemes. It will also useful for signature schemes. Signature schemes means one to many. In the encryption schemes, anyone can encrypt using the public key. Only the intended receiver can decrypt using the secret key. In case of signature schemes, encryption will be done using the secret key by the by the sender, and verification can be done by anyone who are having the public key of the sender. So this is the way how the signature will be achieved. So whenever the encryption will be done, then the confidentiality will be achieved. When only the intended receiver receives that message and will be able to decrypt it, authentication can be achieved. So whenever non-repudiation is also achieved, then trust will be built up because the sender cannot deny that he has not sent the message. Thereby, what will happen? The trust on the sender will increase. So, since the absence of the centralized authority, the whenever the centralized authority is not there, obviously trusting a unknown person who are entering in the network and communicating with you is very difficult. So that reason, in order to maintain the trust, this signature concept will help a lot. So that reason, trust, security, and privacy is achieved in this way using the public key algorithms, especially for the public key encryption. RSA are the scientist names. So RSA algorithm is a very popular algorithm for the encryption and decryption in the public key cryptography. But these are very popular in wired networks. It achieves greater security. However, RSA algorithm is not used in the blockchain applications. The reason is RSA algorithm will work with the help of the prime numbers, generation of the prime numbers and factor. So basically, RSA is developed based upon the belief that the factoring of the prime numbers or multiplication of prime numbers is very difficult, and this is the basic assumption in this. Because I'm not going in detail of the RSA algorithm, since the RSA algorithm is no way useful for the blockchain applications. So I'm giving you the basic idea of that the which is called foundation algorithm in any cryptography. That is an RSA algorithm. RSA algorithm is especially based upon the belief that factoring of two prime numbers, factoring of the product of the prime numbers is very difficult. But this is not proven so far. Next one is day by day, to increase the complexity, the prime numbers are getting too large, and sometimes the computation will also become too large, and we require high computation capability to do this particular task. Amount of research currently devoted to only factoring algorithms, but not strengthening the basic algorithm. If you look at uh, recently evolving quantum computing techniques will make RSA absolute overnight, because you can crack the RSA encryption overnight. So this is the reason, this is the fact that the RSA is not used in the blockchain application. So this, in order to overcome this the limitations of RSA, another public key encryption algorithm, another public key algorithm called elliptic curve cryptography has been widely used today to strengthen the blockchain applications or blockchain security. So conventional RSA algorithm is a famous public key algorithm. However, elliptic curve cryptography, please remember, elliptic is different, ellipse is different. This is elliptic curve cryptography, which is widely used today as security strength of 3072-bit key private key of RSA can achieve using 256-bit of private key of ECC. That means if you use key length of 3072 bits in RSA algorithm, whatever the security strength you achieve, only with the help of 256-bit key length in elliptic curve cryptography, you will achieve the same security strength. It means ECC offers great security using small key length. So that is the reason elliptic curve cryptography is very famous and has been used widely adopted in the blockchain security. At the same time, any other application that are built on the blockchain will also use are using the elliptic curve cryptography because of its flexibility and greater security with small key length. In the next lecture, we will see the elliptic curve cryptography, how ECC is used in the Bitcoin applications, which is Bitcoin is the application that was first realized with the blockchain in 2009, which was introduced by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009, in which how this ECC is used. And if you want to develop your own blockchain, or if you want to develop your own cryptocurrency, what are the possible other possible mechanisms that you can adopt to generate keys and to distribute to the users who are participating in your blockchain application? And all these things we'll see in the next lecture.